How are you guys? I don't know if anybody's gonna show up. It's late. It's Saturday. I don't know why, but people don't ever come on Saturdays when I do these, but I just was like, I have stuff to say. I don't even know if my internet's working that great, honestly. Um, I don't know. But anyways, I've been watching this like really, really, really crazy hello bot. I've been watching this really crazy documentary. It's something that people will know in the photosphere, but it's basically called Shaped by the Algorithm, and it's about this YouTuber named Amberlyn Reed. And I've been watching all these videos, and they're very long, and they're kind of about her. And she's somebody who very much struggles with BED very severely. But the weird thing about it, oh, that's funny. Right. The weird thing about it is that, like, when I was watching it, he covers her channel from 2013 all the way till now, I'm guessing. And so he's going through all these different years, and I'm remembering the different years. And I need to see what Amberlyn Reed has done recently, because I'm not like quaking as much about the past. I'm not saying she's perfect. Like, I totally get why people don't like her. But I think a lot of the stuff, it's like, it's just your classic severe hypo, BED, type of stuff, which a lot of people have experienced. And she's kind of put that out there, and just sometimes the desperation of being super morbidly obese and how you rely on other people sometimes and all these different things. And it's like, ugh, like the reliance on others. Like, I remember that, it's like I felt that way, or I had a lot of experiences like that. And then I don't know why, but a lot of commentators, they always judge people based on like current standards, or how things are currently versus how they were at the time, which is really odd to me, because the current standard is so incredibly narrow. You can barely do anything at this point. So, like, if you judge somebody based on 2024 standards on a video they posted back in 2016, it's like, it's going to be really different, you know? And, I'm not like going to sit here and defend Amberlyn Reed in this video. I'm just saying that it's interesting because it reminds me of the past decade, and like all the stuff and the trends and how things were at the time. And I'm trying to do a Q&A on my main channel really soon. And I actually had somebody ask me a question, and they said, what do you most look forward to when the weight is done? Like, when you're finished losing the weight? And I was just like, I went totally a blank. And I was just like, I don't have any long-term plans, which is crazy. But I don't think it's actually a good thing, to be honest. I think it's probably a bad thing to not have any plans. So obviously it's made me start thinking about it more. And, for a very long time, one of my biggest dreams was to do YouTube. And I was just in to do YouTube as a job. And I was looking at this person's channel and just like how they grew and how they got subscribers. And I remember thinking that back in that time, I would have felt really jealous of someone like Amberlyn Reed because it's like she wasn't really doing anything, but she had so many subscribers. She had so many, she was making 10 grand a month in 2018. That's crazy. That's a lot of money. Okay. I mean, think about how insane that is. And she only had like 35K subscribers, but she was getting that many views, that she was making 10K a month. Nuts. So, yeah, it's a lot. And so I think a lot of YouTubers, they don't actually, I feel like they're not honest about how much they make. I don't know if I want to talk about, hello, Bubble. I'm glad you're here. I don't know if I want to talk about how much I'm making, but it really isn't that big of a deal. So maybe I could say it. I guess I could. I don't know how explicitly I want to get into my finances, but basically, I'm at a point right now where I really, really want to switch to YouTube full time. Like, I'm kind of over my gig economy job. I'm kind of done. It's like I'm out of SMO. I don't need it as much. I don't need to be that active anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. And I'm just kind of over it, I guess. Like I just feel ready to move on, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And it makes sense. I mean, there's literally like an eclipse in my area of work in my 6th house. That's the one in April. So it makes sense that I'm like, oh, I'm ready to move on to another job. It also makes sense because like there's a Mercury retrograde in Aries, which is like, it makes me think about my job, and I'm just like, for the 2 years that I've done it, I loved it. I loved my job. It gave me a feeling of security and like a sense of like routine. And I had control. Like I could control when I worked, when I didn't work. After my corporate experience, I never wanted to work a job like that ever again because it was so awful. And that's just for me personally. I think there are some people who are just not meant to be led. I don't know how else to put it. Like, I cannot stand having a boss. I personally hate having a boss. Like, I hate having to listen to somebody, especially in a work environment. Like, I'm a little bit less extra about it if it's like, a relationship or like my family or something like that. Like, I can listen to that type of thing more because it's somebody who like knows me, loves me, and cares about me. But when it's a job, I do not give a fuck. And like, so for me personally, just being told what to do from somebody who could give two shits about me and I could drop dead tomorrow and they wouldn't even blink, I don't want that. And so after my job in 2020 that I did, which that job, I made the most money I've ever made in my life that year. I did. But I was so incredibly miserable and it was just horrible. It's like it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the money because it was just that awful of a job. It was a call center job, as I told you guys, and I had to do that because I couldn't handle a physical job anymore. I couldn't handle certain things anymore, So, anyways, I've been doing a more physical job for the past 2 years that I really, really, truly loved, and I just feel like I don't anymore. Um, yeah. Yeah, I get that, Bubble. I do understand that. Um, I think it really helped. I think the job that I had, even the jobs that I've had, to be honest, I had 2 gig economy jobs, but one of them was a lot less physical. One of them was like your typical, like, you know, food delivery type of thing, like a Postmates type of thing. The other one is something else. And the one that I'm doing now, it's a lot more active. So I told you guys I walk a lot. Like I'll walk like 5 hours a day if I do like a full day of work, which it's helped me. Like it's one of the things that helped me get out of super morbid obesity, which is huge. And I'll always appreciate it for that. And I also think too, just like having these jobs where I was out in the public, where I'm like delivering or I'm doing this or I'm doing that, like I'm outside all the time. It was very healing post 2020, post COVID, post lockdown. It was extremely healing to not be home. And I've done that for 3 years. And now I want to be home again. Like I miss being home. I am introverted. And so I'm starting to miss it a lot. And I'm just like, okay, like I think I need to move on. And so it's a weird feeling to be there. But I was looking at my finances today and I am under the poverty line, which is like, it's not shocking, but with my expenses, like gross pay, I'm barely above the poverty line. Barely. Okay. Like fraction of a percentage above the poverty line. But if you factor in the fact that I have to pay my own expenses and stuff like gas, for example, especially with high gas prices and that kind of stuff, which it is getting higher again, I am I am totally under the poverty line as far as my gross pay, and I still get taxed, which is disgusting. So, in my opinion, it just is. It's really disgusting. And my federal taxes went up last year, like they were higher. Um, it was weird though, because my state taxes went down, so it kind of ended up being the same. It's like Alabama was trying to provide relief and Biden was raising it. So it was like, you are really trying to take blood out of a turnip. You know what I'm saying? Like it's brutal. And so, because I just was thinking, I'm like, I barely spend anything. Oh, I do my deductions. I do. And I still have to pay. So it's pretty brutal. I'm not going to lie. But I don't have to pay a huge amount. It's not like a drastically high amount, but when you're well below the poverty line, having to pay anything, it's like I can't pay my rent the whole way if I have to pay it. Does that make sense? Because there's no margin. You have zero margins when you're under the poverty line. But what I realized when looking at that is that honestly, like to switch over to YouTube, it was not going to take me making that much money because I'm already under the poverty line. To completely replace my other job, it honestly wouldn't even be that much. So I think I'm at like this position where I'm like, okay, I think I might be able to do a hop, skip, and a jump because the issue is really that the reason why I couldn't do that last year there were 2 reasons. One reason, well, I'll say, I don't know what reason would be most important. Honestly, they're like equally important reasons why I couldn't do it last year. But I'll just say them both. But the first reason I couldn't is because my health was too poor last year. So I would get momentum on my channel and I would start having things pop in and start doing stuff. But then I would have to stop because I would be too sick. And there were certain times where I was really ill. And when I think back, I think of April of last year. I think of July and August of last year. I think of um, I think of December, January, February of this year. So I think of those times where it's like I've had, like, that's a lot of months where I lost momentum. So I made barely anything from YouTube last year. And I already know I'm going to be taxed for my barely anything. I think in order to get taxed, you have to make like 600, and I probably made like 700 or something the whole year. So that's really scarring. So they're going to tax me even more than the nothing that I made. It's just so fucking annoying. It's like I'm literally, even with that whole like $700, I'm a whole fucking still under the poverty line, especially with the cost of gas. I'm just totally under the poverty line, just blatantly. Because yeah, I can't even think about it. It's gonna piss me off. It's gonna like make me mad if I really think about. Hello, John. If I really think about how much money I spend on gas, and then the fact that like half of my income essentially is my rent, it's like, wow. So it's like my income is literally like half of it is my rent, and then probably another quarter of it is gas, and then I'm living off of a quarter, and I still have to pay utilities and bills. So I literally, I mean, I was really looking at it and I was like, holy shit. Like, I calculated my income based on the inflation, and my income is exactly the same as it was 3 years ago. Like, or as it was in 2021, I mean. Because if you calculate inflation, because my income did go up. Now, prior to 2023, I was underneath the poverty line, even by like income status. I was those 2 years, 21 and 22. But I actually made more money. Hello, Caleb. I actually made more money last year. So I'm not technically under the poverty line. But as I said, with the gas expenses, I am totally in the poverty line. So, yeah, basically pizza. So essentially, I'm in a really weird situation. It's very much called the working poor. That's the category I'm in. That's the class I'm in. And I was in this class in 2018 as well, because back then I was working at the airport and I had to pay for parking. So I made, oh gosh, ooh, it's crazy. I think I made about the same amount of money that I make now 5 years ago. Um, Except back then I paid a third of my check towards parking. So it's like but I was living in California, so I was well under the poverty line in California. Like, holy shit, I was broke as fuck. But I didn't have to pay bills. I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to pay anything back then because I was living with my grandma and she was just supporting me, which is like really lucky, obviously, or really like kind. But yeah, it's that same, like, back then I felt like I have this money, but I don't have enough money to move out. I don't have enough money to do anything. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to eat. So I had like major BED in 2018 because it's like I had enough money for food, right? Which is horrible. Last year, though, it's like I didn't have any extra money. In fact, I don't have enough money to eat a lot. And I'm just like, I really was thinking about it and I was like, I am extremely frugal. Like, holy shit. Cause I literally was looking at the numbers today and I was like, holy shit. Like, I am making barely any money. Like, honestly. Like, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't know if I should tell you guys how much I'm making. Like, I'm kind of embarrassed. It's that bad where I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually embarrassed about how much I'm making. Um, so basically, very recently, I don't know why exactly. Um, oh, let me finish. Gosh, I'm like total ADHD. So the first reason I couldn't switch to YouTube last year is because of my health, like I said. As the other reason too is like there's really three reasons, which gosh, three reasons, man. It's like, why don't you just shoot it in the face, right? Because if you have three major issues, then you're never gonna make it on YouTube. It's like, bitch, you're not gonna fucking make it. So the second reason was because I didn't have the look. And so what do I mean by that? As I've told you guys a lot, I lost enough weight where towards May, I was no longer like brandable. My level of fatness was not brandable. And what does that mean? In terms of marketing and YouTube, and especially YouTube, because it's a public facing thing, essentially means that people could not look at me and they don't see Amberlyn Reed, but they also don't see a fit person or even an average person or even like a Trisha Paytas. They don't see these categories of fatness that are marketable because you can have like hugely fat, you can have kind of small fat where you're like, oh, I'm fat, haha, and you kind of laugh about it, but you're fat, you're the fat person, but you're like that small fat, approachable fat. And then there's just thin and whatever. And then there's fit, right? Those are marketable, but the mid fat, it's just not because people look at you and they're like, what? And as I told you guys, I was invisible in public. So, of course, you're invisible on YouTube. And if you, um, yeah, I do qualify for that bubble. But, anyways, um, so yeah, so the other thing that's crazy is when you have the, okay, that's where you are, Caleb. That's nice though. That's good. Um, so anyways, that was a huge issue is an image fail, right? The other thing is like a mid fat is probably the least attractive you can be. So it's really bad for YouTube because YouTube is totally public and it's totally image based. Like everything within your YouTube is literally just your face. Because if you post a video and you don't look as good, people won't click on it. They'll click on somebody else that looks better. And that's really tricky. So that was another barrier. The third barrier to YouTube last year is that I was so horrifically serotonin-y and it really killed my creativity. I was extremely self-conscious and like very shy and depressed, and I couldn't really be that creative because of the hormonal aspect of what I was going through. So those three things are why I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it. And then because of that serotonin thing too, I was just thinking like, this is so out of reach. Like, there's no way I can ever switch to YouTube. I'd have to make so much more on YouTube than what I'm making now, blah, 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 which is true. It's definitely true. Because again, I can't live off of like $700 in a whole year. There's no way, right? That's never going to happen. But something changed this year where I started, I've started to make more. And I think it's because after February, I felt better and I looked better. And just things just started like congealing all together. And I felt more confident. Like I'm feeling less serotonin, which means I'm more creative. Yeah, of course, Sam. But I've been making a bit more than I used to, like a lot more. So to put into perspective, what I would typically make in a month in March, I made 3 times as much. I tripled it. So that's like drastic. That's like a drastic change because what? Yeah, I tripled what I usually made on YouTube. I tripled it in March. And like I said, I think it's because I look better. Yeah, you guys love the witch hat. Um, yeah, I look better. I'm more confident. I'm more aggressive on YouTube as well. Like, I think my peaceful era, it was important for like my self-development, but it wasn't great for my channel. But it was better than in the summer. Like in the summer, it was really bad. Like I literally was like, holy shit. Like I'm getting like I could barely break 200 views in the summer. Like in July, my views were so terrible. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was so scarring. So I kind of already went through all those pitfalls that YouTubers have where it's like you kind of start out and then you just like totally flop. And it does kind of affect the self-esteem, but for me, my self-esteem was trash because I was so serotonin-y and I didn't look good. And so it's like, how am I supposed to market myself in this category? Now, what frustrates me right now is that, yeah, it is. I am excited for sure. But I think what kills me now is just like, I'm so on the edge of the death. Like, I'm like right at the end. But of course, like, I've plateaued. I'm really swollen. I'm having all these issues now. It's just like, wow, like it is just dragging out. But I just know that if I could lose like another 30 pounds, it would be so much easier. Because when I started to become less Duffy towards the end of February, because I had lost a drastically high amount of weight, like over January and February, I lost like 30 pounds because I was so bloated from December. So I lost like a hella weight. And towards the end of February, I got less Duffy. And so I had that moment, I think in January, I think it was late January, where I had lost momentum. Maybe it was February. I don't remember. No, I think it was February because it's when I got sick. I don't know. No, I got sick in January. Sorry, I'm tripping. I got my timelines all fucked up. Just hear me out, okay? So basically, I started to look less Duffy, and after I was sick in January, all I did was post another video. No problem, Bubble. All I had to do was post another video, and my momentum came back, like, I think within, like, 1 or 2 videos. And typically, my momentum, it would take, like, 3 or 4 videos to come back. So if you can think about, like, you stop posting. This happened to me, like, in September because my August and July were horrible. And so my content and my channel had kind of flopped a little bit because I wasn't posting that much. Then in September, I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit it hard. I come back, guns blazing in September, and it takes 3 or 4 videos to get the momentum back. That's brutal. And for me, like I post like 2 a week. So that's like 2 weeks. Versus in February, it took 1 video. And I was like, it's because I look better. That's why. So it's really weird, but that's totally how it works. It's totally a thing. And then in some ways it's because I chose different topics and things that people like and all that kind of stuff, which I get too. Like that's all important. But yeah, it all goes together. Like nothing is in isolation. So I'm like, I know if I could lose like 30 more pounds, it would just be so much easier because I probably break into small fat and that would be like a mainstream category. And I could probably grow a lot faster for the same quality of video. It's so scarring, but it's true. And people don't want to, like, people don't, as if Caleb, not at that point. But people cannot like acknowledge that looks matter on YouTube. Or like a lot of people don't acknowledge that, but it's true. So, anyways, I just realized like looking at my finances, it wouldn't even take that much. So I'll put it to you guys this way. I am like, as of March, I'm like 20% of the way there. So I have to grow by like another 80%, if that makes sense. So I'm like, okay. And then I could switch. That's pretty good. Like it's not an instant shift. That's not something that just suddenly happens, right? Like it's going to take a lot of work to like, you know, I need to be making like 5 times as much as I'm making right now and do that consistently. And then I don't have to do my other job anymore. And so that can seem like a lot, but it's considering I just tripled what I made. It's like, okay, let's see if I can do it again, or let's see how much more I can do next month or the month after or this month. And again, I'm only posting like 2 videos a week. What if I post 3 or 4 videos a week? What if I do this? What if I do that? Like that's where I'm starting to think. And again, I'm just in a different mindset. I look better. I'm healthier. I don't think I'm going to have a moment where I have to stop anymore because I'm not sick. I'm not that sick. So that's probably why it will work out. But I don't know how long it will take, but it'll probably take months. But I think I'm just like, okay, like I think I'm ready to just hit it really hard, basically. And especially looking at my kitchen table bills today and seeing that I am literally under the poverty line, I don't even have to make that much to replace this job, which is insane. Because I didn't realize how broke I was until I actually sat down. If you go full-time YouTube, how long do you think before you can do that? What do you mean? And you know what you mean. I think for me, I might be able to do it. If you're asking like when I could shift to full-time completely or when I could quit my other job, I think if I work really hard, I definitely think I could quit by the fall. Yes, that's the thing too, pizza. Losing more weight will have multiplying returns. The more success you have, yeah, the more authoritative your voice will be. That's very true as well, which there's weird seasonal effects right now too, which are difficult because winter is just ending. And so even like last year, I didn't de-bloat until like late April. And this year, because I was losing weight in the winter, it's like really bad. So I might not totally de-bloat until May or June, which is like a long time because that's how long it took me to de-bloat in 2022 when I was like more hypo, I guess. So I might not even weigh as much as I do now, or I might not weigh as much as I do, especially because I'm building muscle and stuff. So it's just very like frustrating how we have to like, or how I have to kind of wait for the season to shift too, because when the seasons are not working with me, it's like I'm literally plateaued. I can't lose. And it's because I went to the gym. If I just was like, I'm just not going to go to the gym and I'm just going to really focus on calories, then I would be continuing to lose. But as you guys know, it's like adherence is important. Hormonal effects of going to the gym are more important. And it's like, I can't sell myself out like that just for YouTube, you know? But it's like, I'm totally building muscle because this muscle was weaker and then my back was weaker and they're getting stronger drastically. So it's like, yeah, I'm gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time, but it doesn't show. And so it's frustrating. But I'm eating on Easter though. So I'm having a hurrah moment for Easter. And then after that, then I'm going to go hard probably for a few months. What are Easter foods? We're just kind of doing whatever we want. Like we're having like a roast. We're having sweet potatoes again. Yeah, ham is technically Easter food, but we didn't want ham. So we didn't have ham. But oh my gosh. I have no idea, Caleb. Yeah, we want like roast beef or something. Like we want like beef, which beef is better thyroid wise anyways. And then we're going to have a carrot cake, which carrot cake is kind of Eastery because it's a carrot. It's kind of gay, but my grandma was like, I really want a carrot cake. And I was like, well, if you buy the stuff, then I'll make it. And then like I had jelly beans today. So I'm kind of having two or 3 days of eating more and just kind of breaking the deficit because I think that will help. Just because it helps with adherence to like take a breather because I'm just like, like I'm tired. But yeah, so anyways, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have my moment and then I'll probably weigh in again like a week after Thanksgiving. I mean, oh my gosh, after Easter. Oh my God, Thanksgiving. That was dippy. Oh, wow. Nice, Caleb. So yeah, I just think what will probably happen if Pizza Cheetah is still here, what I think will happen is we'll probably get towards summer, probably towards late May or May. Whatever bloating I have will probably start really going away and it will look like I lost a lot of weight. And I was talking to Sam about this because I think it does correlate with astrological trends, which is interesting. So when Jupiter goes into Gemini, which is at the end of May, it's a sign of deflationary forces. It's like Jupiter is debilitated, which means it's harder to gain weight. It's harder to bloat. Basically, it's harder to blow up. Like it should have a mitigating effect on inflation, for example, in the markets. But for me, it does allude to depoofing, debloating, which will happen towards the summer because, of course. So how it will manifest if pizza is still there, how it will manifest is it will look like I've lost no weight in March and then minimal weight in April. And then what will happen is in May, I'll probably lose 10 pounds. So it'll look like this. It'll be 10 pounds in May, 10 pounds in June, and then possibly 10 more pounds or something like that in July. It could be like boom, boom, boom. But in reality, y'all will know it's weight that I've been losing in February and March and April, but it will look like I just lose all the weight in May, June, and July, but it's not. It's because of the fluid retention. So I'm actually losing it now, but it won't show until then. But as you said, pizza, the more weight I lose, then I get more authority on it, and the channel could blow up. And that could be a situation where it could grow a lot faster over the summer because of that, because I will look really different. Because 30 pounds on me today is really different than 30 pounds on me was a year ago. It's like night and day because I'm just not that big anymore. I'm really not. Because if I were to lose 30 pounds, I'd be like 265, which is definitely small fat. That is like not even that big at all. Not for my height. It isn't. That would be like, oh, you have a gut, you know, kind of thing. And I'd be a muscly 260, which is not even that bad at all. It's still fat, but it is not that fat. And like Pizza said, coming from such a huge size, it would make me very authoritative, which could have an expounding effect on the channel. So it could grow a lot. And so that's what I think will happen, to be honest. I think that this spring is going to be kind of ugly. But I think what I have to do this spring is just like get a routine in order. I need to decide how many videos I want to post a week. If I'm going to do full time, I'm thinking probably at least 4, but it might be good to do 5, you know. But it's hard because I still have to do the other job, and it's just going to be really difficult. And then I do have weird physical things happening too, as always. And unfortunately, morbidly obese is still not that healthy. As you guys know, it's in the title of it, right? So I feel better, but I'm not well. It's like, I'm remembering how I felt in high school though, because I weighed this much in high school. And I was like, gosh, like I really wasn't that healthy in high school. I think when you're like really big, you kind of like, you over glorify the past a little bit. And you think like, gosh, I used to be so much healthier. And it's like, I am healthier, but I'm not that healthy. Like I have asthma, I have allergies. Like the hay fever is really hitting me. And I used to have such terrible allergies when I was in high school, and asthma, and like, awkward and shy and this and that. And it's just weird. So anyways, but yeah, so I have a long ways to go. The other thing I did want to tell you guys is I have a little bit of loose skin. And I was like, oh my God. So it did happen. The weird thing about it though is it's literally it is on my inner thighs, which is really weird. So it's not something that people would see clearly. Not something I could show clearly. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. But it did put the fear of God in me. And the thing that bothers me about it is it's just like, how am I literally getting loose skin on my thighs and I'm not losing any weight? Like, it is just so frustrating. It really is. It really pisses me off. So, yeah, I would say that's probably bad, but unless if the other 5 was water, then that's fine. But if you're losing like tons of muscle, that would be bad. So yeah, I keeps it real with you guys. It's funny too, because I did a tarot reading. So gay of me to do. But I did do a tarot reading about my career this year, which I found really interesting. And in the spring, it was like fugly, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. It's like fugly. You don't want to do both jobs at the same time. You're frustrated and tired. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like what's happening. And then in the summer, it was different. The summer, the reading I got, it kind of alluded to it blowing up or to it expanding and growing quite a bit and going well. And it did allude to me doing certain collaborations in the summer that probably grow the channel, which I thought was interesting for sure. As well as just it kind of doing better in general. And then you'll love it because in the fall, I got a reading that alluded to being canceled. So if it happens, I'm going to show this clip and I'm going to be like, I fucking knew this was going to happen in the fall. I fucking knew it. But it kind of makes sense because I think when you make it a little bit or like when you start to do better, and especially at that point, I may have lost a lot of weight. I don't know if it's going to be fat activists that come after me. I would assume so. I don't know who else would. You never know though, right? Could be like a backstab situation. Who knows? I got enemies, what can I say? That's terrible to say, but it's true. I mean, that sounds really bad. I'm just saying there are a lot of people that don't like me, or there are people who don't like me. So I'm like, there's probably something that will happen there. But it's just interesting because I don't know if the FAs, if they cancel me, I think it will be because they're pissed. Because by the fall, I probably will have lost enough weight where it is actually like a threat to their rhetoric, where it will actually be like something that they're actually jealous. And so then they're trying to like destroy. So that cancellation incoming probably in the fall. But the interesting thing is that's also when I can quit my other job. So there was a sign of being able to quit my other job is in the fall. So I quit it entirely. So maybe through the cancellation, I'll get more publicity. And you know me, I'll just put the witch hat on. I mean, I already got songs planned. I have Taylor Swift lyrics I can refer to. Like, I could always have a reputation era. I could make it work. So I've been canceled before, not on a large scale or not on a big scale, but I have dealt with like hate campaigns and stuff. So I can handle it, but it's just weird. So yeah, that's the vibe I got. Anyways, we'll see if it comes true. So far, the spring one is true. But that one was like kind of obvious, it's like you're tired. You don't want to do both jobs at the same time and you're frustrated. It's like, yeah, duh, right? It's kind of like no shit, Sherlock. But right now I am just looking at it and being like, okay, like I don't have to earn that much per month to replace my job. So I think just having that goal and being able to look at it and just be like, okay, so let's work on that. And I think it will do better in the summer. So we'll see. I mean, I would love it if I could just move on into the summer, but the summer is a difficult time for me financially. I also don't know if the summer is that great for YouTube. Like it could be seasonal as well. So I have to see how that works. But I don't know. I'll have to see. I just barely started last year, so I don't know exactly everything about it. So anyways, I have a goal. I have dreams. So I found a dream. I found one. So I have an answer to that question now. And I would say, what do I look forward to after the weight is lost? I'm going to say that I'll look forward to having an easier time on YouTube. And I want to do a personal channel, which I already have a personal channel, but that's the goal that I've had too as well. Because I've always loved that type of dynamic, but it's hard when you don't have any money and that kind of stuff. Like my lifestyle right now is just not conducive to having a personal channel. It's like really, really boring. And I'm bored to death myself in my own life. Like I don't need to like bring other people into that boredation or that boredom. So it's just not feasible at this time. But yeah, but that's something I'd love to do. So, and it will be a lot easier in that regard. Other than that, though, I still don't really know. Um, because for me, I'm not really like I have had long-term plans before, but I can't really do it as much because of like COVID and everything. It's like I don't want to make long-term plans ever again because of what happened. It was just so horrific, and so traumatic that it's like I can't think long term anymore because of that. And I don't know if that's ever going to go away. But I live more in the present, so it's like I have a goal short term, but it is hard for me to think of like, what would I do after the weight is lost? I can't even really fathom it. It's hard to even think that way. Um, it's still a ways away probably till I reach my goals. It's probably going to be like another 2 years. So I have a minute, I have a minute. I have a long ass time vlogging at Dollar Tree. Did you ever watch those kind of vlogs, Caleb? Like vlogging is so out of style now. It's weird. It used to be so on fleek and it's like so not a thing. I have a feeling though that when Saturn goes into Aries, which is 2026, I feel like vlogs will come back. I think the trend will return. But right now with Saturn and Pisces, it's like everything has to be like really, really big picture and like it's a cause and it's like it's criticism and commentary and it's just a different vibe. It's not that personal vibe that it used to be, because I miss that YouTube a lot. Like I loved when YouTube was just fun and like people would get on there and like make jokes and do stuff. Like I miss that side of YouTube. So I'd like to do that. Like I'd like to bring that back because it's just fun. I don't know. I think that stuff is really fun. Cause I miss like I know Trisha Paytas and Shane Dawson are really toxic people, and I'm not gonna like, think that they're, oh yeah, that's such, they're so great people or whatever. But like when they used to do their hauls together, like they do candy hauls like in 2014, they were so hilarious. And it's like it was just so hilarious and it was so fun to watch. And it's just like I miss that. It's like no shade on Gen Z, but most Gen Z YouTubers are just commentary channels, like honestly. Like they're just sitting in their room judging everybody else. And it's like I kind of do that too, but I don't want to do that forever. That's kind of that's probably what I will say to answer that question is just my goal is to have a personal channel or a streaming thing. Like I love streaming and I love that type of thing, but it's been out of style for a while, and I just don't think it's in reach for me being fat. I just don't. Because part of like a lifestyle channel or like a vlog channel is your look, especially for me because I'm feminine enough that kind of the woman's roles kind of are put onto me in terms of marketing and stuff. So I think it's just being realistic, if that makes any sense. I'm a very like, realist person when it comes to YouTube, I guess. in terms of like what can actually sell or what's actually watchable and that kind of stuff. And I think I could be because I am creative and I love YouTube as a form of creativity. Like I can always think of something, as you guys have seen. Like I'm very consistent all the time. Um, like I always post. So like I know I'll always think of something. I'm not gonna be blonde. You're crazy, Caleb. Gosh, I actually don't think the blonde looks bad on you, Caleb, though, because I think your skin tone, I think Caleb is cool toned. And so it doesn't look bad. But for me, it would look like trash. It would look like absolute shit if I dyed my hair blonde. It looks so bad. Oh gosh, it would be horrible. I'm like scarred just thinking about it. It's so ugly. It would look so horrible on me. I did consider it though, which is funny, but it is funny too because I think about it and I'm like, gosh, like there'll probably be a day where the majority of people who watch me are Gen Zs. And that is so weird to me. Like right now, it's definitely majority millennial, but I feel like in the future, it'll probably be majority Z. But Gen Z is just so fat phobic that they would never watch me. No. They are really fat phobic, you guys. Like drastically more than millennials and Gen X. Like it's kind of funny. Gen Z is actually like I know that people make fun of it or like they say Gen Z is like so SJW or whatever, which a lot of them are, but in a lot of ways, Gen Z is legitimately conservative. Like they're a lot more conservative than millennials and Gen X because they're very like rules and expectations and you have to present yourself and da da da. Like I had a Gen Z tell me on a short that I posted. They're like, lip syncing to music is not good enough content for me. Or like, that's not actual content. And I was like, okay, entitlement, like the fuck. Yeah, Gen Z is after millennial. I don't think any invented color would go with me. Oh my gosh, but yeah, it's just interesting. Like it is what it is, right? Like I don't have an issue with Gen Z being more conservative. It's just interesting, because when I was growing up, we were told so often by people that the youth is always further left. The youth is always more, liberal. The youth is always this. The youth is always that. And it's like, no, it hasn't been because cancel culture started when Gen Z came of age, when they started to become like 15, 16, and they were on YouTube and they were leading the cancellation campaigns. It was that generation. And so all the millennials who were like super loosey goosey, like all the millennials, super SJW, far left libs, all those millennials, they started having to act more appropriate after like 2016. So yeah, pretty much pizza. But it's just really interesting to me because all the comments, like I was watching that documentary of Amberlynn Reed, and like comments were probably Gen Z commenters, and they were telling her, "You're spending all your money. Why are you spending all your money on this stuff? Blah 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 blah." Like they're judging her for how she's spending her money. I don't think millennials or Gen X would do that. Like not really. That's like a boomer thing, and it's a Gen Z thing. Like I would never watch somebody's channel and be like, wow, they're spending so much money. Oh, it's such wasteful spending. But Gen Z will say shit like that. And then, of course, they judge diet. They judge if you're fat, all that kind of stuff. They're really harsh on that. So it's like, it's interesting. Interesting to me because millennials and Gen X and stuff, they wouldn't say that kind of stuff. typically. Like there's always some that are bullies, right? But it's like, I don't know. It's just en masse with Gen Z. Does that make sense? It's like a lot of them do that. Like a lot. It's not all, obviously, but it's enough. And I don't know if it was like, yeah, yes, but yeah, so it's a trip to me because I feel like if I do make it on YouTube, like I'll have to make sure that I act appropriate and stuff. And for a lot of my life, like Gen Xers and millennials, they didn't give a shit about acting appropriate. They're like, fuck the system, blah, blah, blah. And then Gen Z is like, no, we want the system to be upheld. Like it's totally different. It's like, whoa, which I'm not judging Gen Z for that. It's just different. And so it's interesting. Cause like in my day, you'd be judged on like if you were a whore, or you'd be judged on like if you were rich, or you'd be judged on like if you were mean or if you were dumb. Like that was like a big thing with millennials. They're like, you're so unintelligent. Da, 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 da. I have 5 million degrees. It's like, yeah, and what did your degrees get you, you idiot millennial? It's like, shut the fuck up. That's how I feel when I hear shit like that. But that's what I grew up hearing. You're so uneducated. Oh my gosh. Da, 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 da. That's like millennial Gen X trash. That's the kind of judgment that would be passed in my day with things like that. And then, of course, there was like the evangelicals who are like, you're not Christian-y enough, you know, or you're a sinner kind of thing. But you would deal with like religious judgment or like educational judgment. It was like institutionally based. Whereas with Gen Z, it's like, your diet is trash. You overspend your money. I don't like the way you acted with that person. You're abusing your animals. You're abusing your girlfriend. You're doing this, you're doing that, right? It's like they judge like every little action that you do and every little like interaction that's made between people. And that's like hyper conservative. It's very, very conservative. And I don't think they realize how conservative they are because it's like you believe in rules and regulations on every action. Every action is moral or immoral to an extent that I haven't seen in millennials and Gen X. And it's interesting because I don't know, it just wasn't a thing. Like when Shane Dawson was joking about like, I don't even know. I mean, he would do so much like racial humor, for example. He did tons of racial humor and he was so popular with millennials. Like from 2008 to 2015, it was so popular. He made so much money doing racial humor, and a lot of which was like really brutal. Okay. But then Gen Z comes of age and they're like, that's not okay. You can't make racial jokes. You're racist now because you made a racial joke. And so they stopped that kind of stuff. That was Gen Z. And it's like they did that with everything. So it's like you can't make a joke about this, you can't make a joke about that. You can't like they canceled David Dobrik, which again, a lot of these people are immoral. I get it, right? I understand, but the fact that Gen Z cares that these people are immoral is conservative. It's very conservative, which is interesting because again, I dealt with that. I feel like as millennials, it's like when we were growing up, we dealt with boomers that were super moralistic. And then we become adults, and then now we're dealing with Gen Z. It's like we never never got a break there, you know? Because now boomers don't care as much. And then Gen Z is like all on fire for, you know, morals or whatever. Which again, like I care about morals, but I'm not a legalistic person. You know, I don't judge somebody based on every little thing they do and every little action they take. I don't do that. And by millennial standards, I am very moralistic by millennial standards. And you can see how not moralistic I am. Like, just think of that. When you see me, realize that I'm probably one of the most moralistic millennials that exist. And I'm not even that moralistic. That's what I'm telling you. But by Gen Z standards, oh my God, I'm like the loosest fucking whore of Babylon, just crazy. I'd be like the most wild person in the room. When in a room full of millennials, it's like I am like the most pure, innocent, never did anything, type of person. It's just so weird. It's such a weird thing, but I think that's why I might connect with Gen Z because I am a moralistic millennial. So it's like they can relate more, if that makes sense. That's what I think. But it's going to be crazy. You guys don't know what's coming. I can feel it. I can feel the shifts. I can feel the trends changing. I think Gen Alpha is even more conservative and even more judgmental than Gen Z. They're going to be like, ooh, they are brutal. Like, I'll never forget those kids that they laughed at that girl. She's like a Gen Z girl, and there were like these 10-year-old kids, and they all pointed and laughed at her lesbian haircut in public. They like pointed, laughed at her. They were like, it looks so bad, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so brutal. I wasn't actually going to Scoot yet. You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm just saying, Gen Alpha, I think they're going to be like super, I worry a little bit. I'm like, oh gosh, they're going to be like bullies. But I don't know. Gen Z is not really a bully. Like, they're not like, some of them are, I guess, but I think in general, they're not. Like, the kind of Gen Z that I cannot stand is someone like Sid, which I don't know if you guys know who Sid is, but he's like a vegan YouTuber commentator. And he is just so on his moral high horse. And I literally cannot stand him. Like, somebody else I can't stand is Adam McIntyre, just horrific Gen Z. Oh my gosh. Like, I should do like a list on this channel of like all the horrible Gen Z YouTubers that there are that I cannot stand, because they're so moralistic and they're like, oh gosh, they're like hypocritical. Like, oh gosh, I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. And they do so much virtue signaling. It's gross. Hate it. Well, you should watch one, but just start watching them. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't hate Gen Z, though. I really don't. I know I act like I do, but I act like I hate everybody. So don't feel bad. Like, again, give me a day and I'll trash millennials. I'll trash Gen X. The only one that I won't trash is boomers. I won't. And it's because everybody else trashes them all the time. So I'm not going to. So I won't trash a boomer because I'm like, no. But I will trash the other ones. Like, no, Biden is silent generation. No. Ugh. And Obama is a Gen X. But Trump is a boomer. I think Bush was a boomer, which, but I'm pretty sure Bush is a boomer. But Biden is silent generation. Biden is old as shit. Okay. He's before boomers, which is crazy. There are tons of annoying boomers at the store, I'm sure, but I mean, there are annoying boomers. Like, I'm not going to say there aren't, but what I'm saying is I'm not going to make a video trashing boomers because everybody else trashes them all the time. That's all I'm trying to say. It's because boomers get way too much hate. To me, they get more hate than is deserved. I think Gen X needs to be like lit on fire. Like they deserve so much more hate than they get. Like I hate it when people are like, Gen X is just so innocent. Oh my gosh, Gen X is amazing. Gen X is so cool. I'm like, no, they are horrible. They are the reason that everything sucks right now. Like Gen X is who is in control of the institutions, and they are awful. Like they are horrific. And it's not because they're like inherently bad. It's because a lot of them were like really abused, which is terrible. So it's like I'm not trying to be like pointing fingers and like hating every Gen X, but they cannot run shit to save their life. It's terrible. It's like why everything's falling apart. Like all the DEI, all the weird trans stuff, all of that stuff is Gen X pushed. It's Gen X. All of the like, we want computers to replace human beings. That's Gen X. All of the, we should manipulate the internet and censor everybody we don't like. That's Gen X. Like, they're the reason that the world is the way it is right now. COVID was a Gen X concoction. COVID is a Gen X fever dream. The lockdown was a Gen X's creation because they're the most risk-averse generation ever. And every other generation is willing to take a risk, but not Gen X. So they're the reason that happened. So it's like, again, every generation is terrible. I mean, I will stand on that until the end of the days come home. Like I can shit on any generation, but I'm not going to shit on boomers because everybody else already does. And most of what they say is true. I think boomers were way too hard on Gen X when they were growing up. I think boomers are very self-sabotagey. And they didn't want to teach anybody else how to take the reins. They didn't want to give up control. Like these are all valid criticisms, of course, of boomers. But yeah, I'm just sick of this, like, Gen X is so cool and amazing. It's like, no, it's not. Like, don't ever say that in my presence. Like, no. No. No, 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 no. Like, they're in control of everything right now. And that's why there's no new movies in Hollywood, because they don't want to take a risk. They don't want to take a risk. And not only do they not want to take a risk, but they don't want you to take one either. So it's like, oof. And again, it's not out of hate. I think it's just like they were bullied a lot. They were abused. They had all these things happen to them, and they don't want that to happen to their kids or to future generations. And there's nothing wrong with that goal, but you can stifle somebody when you try so hard to protect them. And I think a lot of Gen Z is so stifled by Gen X, and so Gen X or Gen Z is like a very stifled generation because of their Gen X parents. So it's a tricky thing, and I can't really get on here and like hate Gen Z because they haven't done anything yet. It's like, we'll see how y'all do, I just don't like certain Gen Z YouTubers. That doesn't say much about the generation as a whole, but I comment on Gen Z in terms of like, Gen Z is the future, right? So like if my goal is to be a YouTuber, the majority and the new blood that's going to be coming in and watching my channel is going to be Gen Z. And especially because of my age range, like how old I am and stuff, it's probably going to be around my age and younger. That's typically what it will be. So yeah, I do think I'm going to get canceled in the fall pizza. Anyway, I kind of feel it. Alpha is after Z. And then, yeah, that's true, pizza. I'm sorry, I don't. Like, I would fight with them. Like, I don't care. Not like literally, not physically, but like if one of them tried to come after me, oh my God, just give me the day. give me the day. Like, oh gosh. I'm not going to attack somebody first. I'm not going to. Not physical violence. I like to fight with words. I love fighting with words. I have Mars and Gemini. So give me a time to argue and oh my gosh. Like if Adam McIntyre made a video trying to cancel my ass, oh my gosh, I would want to fucking respond and I would just eviscerate him. It's like, just give me a reason. Like I already don't like you, you know? Just saying. But you see that kind of energy and all that, I think Gen Z loves that shit. That's probably why I'll be popular with them. Same thing with, I think millennials too. I mean, and I know a lot of cool Gen X, so don't even, like, there are plenty of Gen X that are good people. There's good people of every generation, but there are horrific people of every generation too. So it's like, I don't know. I think the generation wars are stupid, but there are still, like, generations are real enough that you can criticize them, if that makes any sense. Like, there are criticisms. And, you know, I think the millennial criticisms that I have would be like, millennials need to grow up. I think a lot of millennials are totally delusional, especially financially delusional, extremely financially irresponsible. A lot of millennials are addicts. You got to get clean or you're going to die. A lot of millennials are drastic people pleasers. A lot of millennials are obsessed with therapy talk that is completely unhelpful and dumb. And it just pisses everyone off. And I love how they go to therapy and they're like, I'm going to therapy so that I can learn to communicate. And it's like the way that the therapy teaches you to communicate is so like, creates so much conflict and toxicity that it's like, is it even helping you? Stop it, Sam. Sadly, it's not just any one millennial. It's very much a lot. The other thing I can't stand about millennials is so many of them have cringeitarian energy where they're like, oh, why are you saying that about somebody? You don't have a right to say that about somebody. Oh my gosh, why are you judging someone? I have to say the exact opposite of you. That's the same thing of Gen X. Ugh, I hate that. Those are the worst traits of Gen X and millennials is when they're like, well, I have to say the exact opposite of you because you have an opinion. Because I don't have an opinion in my brain, so I have to oppose everything you say. It's like, man or woman up and like argue your fucking point. Don't just say, well, why do you feel the need to say something about someone? Well, why do you feel the need to be a pansy? Why do you feel the need to be a loser? Why do you feel the need to have zero argument? That's my question to a millennial that says something like that. Why do you feel the need to be so fucking lame? That's what I would say. Because I'm like, I think one of the worst traits of millennials is they're so fake sensitive. Millennials are the most vicious, vipery, toxic. Like, they are not sensitive at all. Like, please, the mind games of millennials, you could try to fool somebody else, I guess, but please, I don't think there's a single millennial that is sensitive. I really don't. Not at this point. That would have been completely beat out of you by now. And so I'm like, I love my own, I do, but I also hate my own, So there's a lot of love and hate within millennials for me. But they're vicious. They are vipers. Do not believe a millennial is like, oh gosh, I'm just like when Taylor Swift, when she's like, she puts in one of her songs that she's too soft for the industry. Please. She's like the most vicious shark that has ever existed in the industry. Like, she can keep up with the absolute viciousness of the music industry. Don't believe it for a second. That would be my advice to Gen Z. Like, if you guys are ever dating a millennial, like, do not think that they're just so sensitive. They weaponize fake sensitivity. That is like the worst. Ugh. And then millennials love to play victim. That's the most victim-y victim generation ever. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Oh. And it's like, okay, whatever. Do you want a cookie? Like, I'm just so over it. Like, honestly, I'm so done. But yeah, when millennials come out, you hear the therapy speak. And then my favorite thing about millennials too, not really, but is when they are empathetic. They pretend they have so much empathy, but they don't. They only see what they want to see. As I've heard so many people say, Gen Z, you know, they're just so nice. They're just so the future. Gen Z, they're just not judgmental at all. And, you know, they're really progressive and they want to move everything forward and all this crap. This is what I hear millennials say all the time. And I'm like, is that how they actually are? Or is that what you want them to be? Because I don't see that at all. Like, that's crazy. It's like all these fat activists that are like, oh yeah, Gen Z, like they're the most accepting. Hello, mysterious. They'll be like, Gen Z is the future. They're accepting, da 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 da. And it's like, Gen Z is like drastically more fat phobic. Like, you guys have totally lost the argument, and the future is not at all fat liberation. Like, it's a joke. But that's one of the things I hate about millennials is they just like, they're delusional a lot of the time, like totally delusional. And they stick to the worst ideas ever. Like a millennial, if you give a millennial a bad idea, if you tell them a bad idea between the ages of 8 and 12 years old, and it never works for them, they'll still be 35 and they'll still believe that bad idea that never worked, no matter what it is. It can be something like being keto. I was taught that not eating any carbs is healthy, and that same person, they cannot lose weight forever, and they'll stick to it forever, because that's the millennial way. It's like, I was taught this as a kid, so it must be true, and it will never change, and I totally know the answer, and I could never question it, even if it literally leads me to my death. Like, I've seen so many people who are vegan that do that too, where it's like, it's literally like all these vegan millennials where they're literally like busted and like dying, and they will not change. No, because they know the truth or whatever. It's crazy. So that's your millennial hate. That's your millennial hate. I can hate them all. You know, I can't hate Gen Alpha yet because they're really, really too young. But I will just say, I do think Skibidi Toilet is cringe. I'm sorry. I know that probably really offended a lot of Gen Alphas, but I think it's cringy. I do. And that song was not good when it was out. Like, it was kind of lame. I just had to say that. And it's old. And it's from the 2000s. And I'm just saying. So yeah, we can put in the shotgun noises in this stream and post. The Gen Z shotgun noise from TikTok. Gosh, I don't think I know enough about them, but I'm just like, let them live it. Let them rest in peace. I think we should let some people rest in peace. They had a really shitty time. That's all I can say, but they got a lot done, I guess. Gen Alpha is a scathing indictment of their millennial parents. Oh gosh, why is that? So what have you heard about them? And what generation are you, Pizza? So the boomers, I'm not gonna bitch about boomers. I just said mysterious on this channel that I'm not going to bitch about boomers because everybody always does. So who I will give heavy, heavy hate towards is Gen X because they are way over glorified. And I will hate on millennials and Gen Z too if I feel like it. But Gen Z, it's hard to hate because they really haven't done anything yet. And Gen Alpha, it's even harder to hate because they really haven't done anything yet. Yes, Sam will bitch about boomers forever, and so will every other millennial, even though Sam is technically in between. But oh my gosh, millennials love to bitch about boomers. Oh my gosh, that's like their biggest thing. It's like, get a new topic. Ugh. Yeah, millennials are dumb. Oh, that's the other thing too. They blame their parents for everything. Millennials will be literally 40 years old and they'll still be blaming their dad for something that happened when they were 5 years old. It's like, shut the fuck up. That's how I feel. It's like if you were in your mid 30s, your life is shitty because of you. Like, even if you're 25, your life is shitty because of you. Like, honestly. And even at that point, I'm like, okay, like you have some childhood trauma, da da da. After 30, hun, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm in my 30s. I know the truth. I know what it's like. You're a fucking loser if you're still going to be blaming your parents in your 30s. Like, you're crazy. Like, take responsibility for yourself. I mean, my gosh. But there are a lot of millennials that are like that. They cannot get over it. They just can't. Like, it's so stupid. It drives me nuts. I don't talk to those people. I don't. And I don't mind it if it's like, if I'm talking to like my best friend and they're telling me about like a specific issue they have and how it like goes back to their dad or something, that doesn't bother me. But if you have to like post that on the internet and tell that to a random stranger to excuse the fact that you don't have an argument, like I said, make it make sense, millennial. Why are you a pansy? Why are you lame? Why don't you have an argument? Why did you even say something in the first place if you can't defend yourself? Because they'll be like, capitalism is terrible. And then I'm like, well, socialism kills, and so does communism. Well, I'm not a communist or a socialist. Then why are you talking about capitalism? Then why are you here? Defend your position. Well, why do you have to say something? Oh gosh, you must really feel good about yourself. Da da da. I don't give a fuck if you think I feel good about myself. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a flying fuck. I literally had an argument like that today where a fucking millennial is trying to tell somebody who is thinking about unaliving themselves that capitalism sucks. Therefore, that's a reason it's okay to be thinking about unaliving yourself. And I said, why are you politicizing unaliving yourself? That is toxic as fuck. And he's like, oh, well, wow, aren't you so brave? Or aren't you a savior? Or like, don't you feel good about yourself standing up for somebody that didn't even ask you to? And I'm just like, dude, get the fuck over yourself. Like, you're insane. Again, do not fall for a millennial's false sensitivity. It's not real. This person is encouraging someone else to their death. And then they're insulted that I said something. Oh, you must feel good about yourself. Well, I certainly feel like I'm better than you. So I guess I do, don't I? Millennials are very competitive. I just want you guys to know that too. Super competitive, like hyper competitive. Do not believe this bullshit of like, oh, we should all work together. They're socialists for you and capitalists for them. Always remember that. They want their money, but they don't want you to have yours. Does that make sense? Just always know that. Always know it. They're vipers, absolute vipers. And some of it, like, I'm competitive too, so I like it. Like, I can find it attractive. Obviously, like the two guys I've been in love with, they were both millennials. and they're very competitive and stuff. And I'm just like, oh yeah, but it's like the mind games of millennials, millennial mind games, crazy. Millennials think life is bad because they're abjectly poor and have no job or home. Yes, but they vote for that. Millennials voted for that because they were hoping to get something for free because they don't want to work. It's like you voted for it. You want life to be bad. And poor Gen Z doesn't want life to be bad. They're like, what the fuck is this? You told me if I voted this way, my life would be better, and it's shit. And they're not going to stick to it because they're not retarded like millennials. And I know that that's harsh, but I'm just keeping it a buck. Like Gen Z wants to have a family in a house. I know millennials will say that till the cows come home. Millennials don't care, or Gen Z doesn't care about that. No, you don't care about it because you want to be a loser. You want to cry in your fucking basement about how poor you are. So you want to keep voting for everyone to be poor so you can go cry in your hidey hole and have an excuse not to have a kid. Look, you're probably blessing the world by not having a child. I know that's harsh, but that's what I tell people when they tell me I'm proudly child free. I'm like, I am so glad you're not going to have a child. That's what I tell them. I say, I'm so glad. I think it makes the world a better place that you're not having a kid. And then they're really offended. Like this one millennial bitch, I said that to her and she was like, what? And I was like, because I don't think you'd be a good mother. She's like, why would you say that? And I'm like, why do you care? You don't want to be a mother. Why would you say that I wouldn't be a good mother? What does it matter? You're proudly child free. I agree with you. You should be child free. I think it's a great thing. Millennials are fucking nuts. I'm telling you. And they're a victim. I'm a victim. They tell everyone to go no contact with their parents. Yes, they're obsessed with it. They are obsessed with no contact. Oh my gosh. Crazy. I think it's really not that great, mysterious. Like, it's hard to, there's a very fine line between, oh, you're terminally ill and oh, you're terminally depressed, which we see that in Canada. So I don't support it in general. We had a bad start out of high school and college because of the Great Recession, but that was now over 15 years ago. Yes, and millennials voted for Obama, and he kept the economy shitty for 8 years. So again, I'm not saying Bush was amazing. I'm not. But Obama clearly failed his first term, and millennials still stuck it out. That's a huge L. Just saying. So it could have been fixed after that 4 years. You could have woken up and been like, oh shit, Gen Z is probably waking up because I don't think they're going to stick to it for another 4 years. I don't. Because they're like, I want to be able to afford to go to the grocery store, or I want to be able to go on a trip. And Gen Z is like, I don't know. They're like, they don't want to live like millennials. Like they don't want to be millennials. I think that's what a lot of millennials don't understand. I think a lot of millennials are like, wow, we're so cool. We're like so fetch. We're amazing. But a lot of Gen Z, they don't think millennials are cool. They don't want to be like us. Why would they? I mean, most millennials, not most, half of millennials are like abject failures, total losers, basically drug addicts, So why would Gen Z aspire to be like that? I don't know. I won't lie, working 8 hours a day for 5 days a week is damn hard, but it's much harder if the government controls everything and you can't make money. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing about it, which what I try to tell people is just you work that job so that you learn basic skills. And then you're supposed to move on, and you either do something that makes a lot of money or you do something that you really love. And for me, I wanted to do something that I loved. So I did that. you know? Um, but yeah, that's basically what it is. That's how it's supposed to work. But yeah. Have you heard? Yes, I have Mysterious. And like I said, I don't typically agree with it. I might, in certain circumstances, it's too much of a blanket statement. But, you know, that's the trouble with like politics is like you have to speak in blanket statements and you can't because like I don't know of every single circumstance that I wouldn't support it in every single circumstance. Like I can't say that. Does that make sense? What I will say is I absolutely do not support it for mental health. I think that's complete bullshit and certainly not depression. That is complete trash. That is a trash idea, which is what Canada is doing. And Canada is trying to push that on kids. Crazy. Psychotic. So, I mean, again, give a millennial a bad idea and they'll run with it. Oh my God, they'll run with it. Give a Gen X a bad idea. Whoa. They'll take it to like a nuclear level of shitty. Wow. I mean, there's nothing worse than a Gen X that thinks they have a good idea and it's a really shitty idea. Because I'm pretty sure they're the generation behind medical assistance in death or whatever the hell it is. I'm pretty sure that Gen X is behind that one. Crazy ass. Because they are so psycho. They're like, they want to rebel against anything good in the world. Like, or any rules or any structure. They're like, I don't want any rules or any structure. It's like, okay, you guys. So I don't know. I just feel like I'm a weird person. I feel like I'm like very in the middle of a lot of stuff. Like I'm not a really rigid person in terms of like morals and rules and stuff. Like I'm a little bit loose and flexible, but I'm also not like all rules are horrible and all morals are disgusting. And, you know, I'm not like that either. And I find like a lot of people are like one or the other. They're either like, wow, you shouldn't be spending your money on that phone. Or they're like, you should totally be able to just end your life if you don't feel like living anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? Like, you are nuts, you know? Like, so I don't know. I think, I don't know. I don't know. But I think it will be fun to do YouTube. And I guess I'll push my weird position, I guess, or my toxic, whatever. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to have hella haters. So, but I think I'll have a lot of lovers too. So, I'm going to try to be a good person and blah, 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 and all this stuff. But it's like, I don't know. I have done a lot of bad things in my past too. So it's like, I can't judge. It's hard for me to judge somebody like Amberlynn Reed because I haven't seen everything that she's done. I've only watched from like 2013 to 2018. But it's like, from what I saw in those years, there's not a lot that I could judge because I had that same BED and the same severe hypothyroidism and the toxic behavior and the like relying on people too much and like all these things. And like, I can't pretend that my past didn't happen, you know? So it's just like, I think, I don't know, people can change or whatever. That's how I feel. But a lot of times people don't. So I don't know what to tell you guys. That's kind of my stance. I'm like, people can change, but a lot of people don't. That's kind of my take on that because I'm like, ooh, I've heard or I've seen some rough cases there. But I think what's sad to me is like, I think it's kind of sad how a lot of Gen Z, they like love Andrew Tate, for example. It's like, that's so sad. But it's because there isn't any like healthy masculine role models, or there isn't that many. He's a millennial. How could he be anything but that, bot? Jeez, he is like such a fucking victim. Oh my gosh. I remember when I first watched him, he was just like, oh gosh, because women didn't treat me this way and that way, and da da da, and oh gosh, and da da. And it's like, dude, you literally extort women. Like, and maybe the women are dumb enough to go into it, and that's on them, but it's like, damn, you know? Like, just because you can find a dumb person to do something doesn't mean that you aren't a shitty person for tricking them into doing it. You know? It's just crazy. I've been thinking of getting my eyebrows pierced. Oh gosh, I'm serious. Ugh. I mean, do it if you want. I can't hide my reactions down. I'm too real now. Oh gosh. Ew, you guys are gross. Ugh. That's one thing. Oh, Gen Z, they want to be ugly so bad. You guys want to be ugly so bad. It's so weird to me. I'm like, you guys are weird. Gen Z, like especially a lot of Gen Z girls, they'll be so like naturally beautiful, and then they'll like make themselves the ugliest they can ever be. It's so fugified. I don't get it. I'm just like, what the fuck? So Gen Z is like obsessed with being ugly. That's a Gen Z thing. And I'm like, ew, gross. But, you know, just don't go permanently ugly, you know. You can do something that's temporary, that's fine. Like, that's fine. Yes, and his aesthetic is fugly, mysterious. Like, it is so ugly. Like, I'm sorry. Like, he was not fugified in like 2019, but post 2022, his style is complete trash. He looks horrible now. Like, so ugly. I'm like, ugh. Could throw up just thinking about him. He's a drug addict. He is a drug addict. He's not all there. Don't follow a drug addict. Oh gosh, Caleb, just don't get something ugly. That's all I can say. It's just like, please, like, ugh. I'm not a tattoo person though. I don't want to commit to it. I'm unconsidered with having a good time and at this point of life. Unconsidered, what does that mean? Gosh, I'm tired. My eyes all twitchy. What do you mean? I'm unconsidered? Oh, I'm only concerned with having a good time at this point in life. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's good. That's healthy. I love hearing that from you. I feel like so many Gen Zs never say that or don't ever like actually do anything or have fun, and it's really weird. So I think that's perfectly normal. That's actually good to hear. I'm like, oh look, mysterious is normal. That's what I feel like when I read that. But I'll just say, from my decrepit standpoint, don't do anything permanent that is going to be fugified. That's my advice. So that would be, I should totally have like my own fortune cookie company or something. That would be a great fortune to put in a cookie, to put like, don't do anything fugified that's permanent. That would be, I would love that. I'd love like a line of fortune cookies with my advice in them. Oh gosh. A tongue piercing is just very hoish. It's like very slutty. So if you want everybody to think you're a huge slut, then I guess go for it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on a tongue piercing. It's like a hoe. It's like, you're a whore. That's what I would think. It's not like the ugliest thing, it's just really slutty. Nipple piercing is slutty too. A lot of them are slutty, to be honest. Not the brow piercing though. All my coworkers vape, and I feel don't start mysterious. I'm pretty sure it's expensive, and you know it's not good for you. So just feel left out. That's the best thing ever, especially when everybody's being dumb as hell. So you can feel left out of jumping off a cliff because you don't want to be addicted to that because it's a lot of money and who knows what it will do to your lungs and all that crap. So, and a lot of people, no shade on anybody, but I'm trying not to be nasty. I'm going to keep that thought to myself, but let's just say, yeah, no. I'll just say this. I don't know if it does good things for the brain. That's what I'll say. I get it. If you were like on cigarettes and all that and like you're addicted and stuff, I get it. But don't start smoking if you haven't. Like that is a stupid fucking decision. That's like the dumbest decision ever. I'm like, I told you, I'm not even that judgmental. I'm just speaking truth. Speaking truth to power. I don't think vaping does good things for your brain, but no. But bot already has smoked forever, so it's hard to quit. Like that's a little different, but don't just start smoking if you're not addicted. That's like really stupid. Because again, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of this, and it's really hard to quit. And it's just like it's cancerous. There's just so many problems with it. There's no point. Everyone is either drinking or vaping. Nobody my age is sober, and that makes it hard to socialize. That's true. That's a good point. But I don't know if you can handle alcohol, like if you're not like an addict. I don't know if you have like addict history, but alcohol is not as bad, I don't think. It's like if you're not addicted to alcohol, it's not as addictive as smoking. But then again, a lot of people don't like smoking that much. I don't know. It's weird. I don't really know. I never smoked. I think I'd be dead if I was like a major drinker and a smoker. I probably would have died because I was a major eater. So that probably would have killed me if I combine that. Costs like 200 a month. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You want to spend 200 a month? Like it's not smart to start something like that. I smoked cigarettes for like 10 years and will be paying for it later in life. Yeah, don't do it. All my friends who quit cigs with vaping are now way more addicted. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just don't think it's a good decision. And I don't think it does good things for the brain. Like, I just don't. I will just say that all the time. Maybe I want life to feel like the mainstream Sala album. Well, I mean, you don't need drugs to do that. Like, you can just go out and do something and do an adventure or something, you know? Like, I don't know. Because that's like, that's kind of, that's a little cringe millennial, which again, he is a millennial, so I get it. I get where it's coming from, but to me, it's like if you can't have fun unless if you're high and drunk, then are you even having fun? Like, really, you know? And I'm not one to be like, oh my gosh, it's so horrible to get drunk. Like, I don't think that that's that big of a deal, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I just think the nicotine thing is more addictive, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I rolled my own to save money. Oh my gosh. Yeah, to be honest, drunk is boring. I don't know. I thought it was boring as shit. Like, I've been drunk. I've only been drunk like only very few times, but I have literally no alcohol tolerance and I can get drunk off of like basically nothing. Like, it's really gay. It's like really weird. I think it's genetic because my mom's the same way. But it was like, I'm fucking fat as shit and I get drunk off of like one drink. Like, it's retarded. Like, if I have a glass of wine, I literally am buzzed if I have 1 glass of wine. But drunk, I never know when I'm drunk. So if I drink, I don't think I'm drunk, and I am. And then it's like I wake up the next morning and I'm hungover, and I'm like, "Whoa, I was drunk last night." So, but it's just, like, kinda dumb. Like, all you do is you just, like, do dumb stuff. You say dumb things. It's kinda funny, and then you're hungover. And so it's like, okay. Mysterious. He is a drug addict. Like, do not glorify being a drug addict. He cannot make a relationship work to save his life. He's probably scarred his daughter for life because he's seriously messed up. Like, Machine Gun Kelly's daughter is probably gonna have so many problems in large part because of him, because he's weird as hell. He literally, like, oh gosh, I just can't even. I would never see him as a role model, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he is psycho. He really is. Like, ugh. I never got a hangover for some reason. Yeah, some people don't. I think if you're, like, more estrogen-y, then you're more likely to have hangover. And I think for me and my mom, like, we just are because we probably both had fatty liver, you know? So it's, like, different. I don't know. Who knows? I will say, though, Machine Gun Kelly is a talented musician. Definitely. I haven't listened to his album yet. I should. I should. I'm nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. I am gonna listen to Taylor's when it comes out though, but I'm really nervous about that one too. Like, I'm just like, because I get kind of nervous that I'm not gonna like it. Because every time that comes on, I'm like, I don't know. But I love Mainstream Sala. I really did. It's like an emo rap type of album. Okay, that sounds really weird. No, I haven't listened to Beyonce. I'm not a huge Beyonce fan. I'm not like a hater of Beyonce at all. Like, I'm not like really a fan of Beyonce. But for some reason, me and Eric have been singing Drunken Love to each other a lot, which is really gay and like really extra. But, you know, that's us, I guess. Oh my gosh, my brain cells. I'm trying to do this and my brain is dying. I don't know. I guess I can do something. I'm so excited. Like, I feel like I will have my personal channel one day. I mean, I have it now anyways, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just think it'd be fun to like actually make money. Like, imagine if I was making money right now doing this. That would be so cool. I'd be like, oh my God, like, I'm bougie, you know? To me, that's like a dream, but it's kind of like a gay dream, but it might actually happen, especially if I can actually like go out and do stuff, then I can make shit happen. I do not have a tattoo. I don't. I don't think I ever will. Have you ever heard the song Texas Hold'em? I don't think so. Haven't really like done anything like that. I haven't listened to anything. I've been listening to really old shit. Like, I'm kind of being millennial lately, and I'm listening to like shit from the 2000s. Like, I've been really obsessed with this song called Miss New Booty, which It's really extra. I wanted to call it gay, but it isn't gay. It's like very hetero. It's like very aggressively heterosexual. It's just so bad right now. I don't like Twitter anyways. I love that I lost a subscriber during the stream. I feel so problematic. Um, I did, yeah. It's probably bought. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? Do you have a tattoo? No, I don't. I don't know, Caleb. Like, it just sucks anyways. They might have had a tech. I mean, honestly, there's so many things I've said that are quote unquote offensive. But honestly, like, it's no hate. Like, I would never hate somebody because they have a tongue piercing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate people. Yeah, it must have been Caleb. Yeah. Oh my God, Mysterious. Mysterious is just trying to trigger me now. Get a face tat when you don't have to have a job anymore. Like, if you get out on your own and you like have your own business and like you're your own boss and all that, then be my guest. But please do not do that. Um, until you can like stand on your own, kind of thing. Because it's definitely going to hold you back in the job market. I know, but jobs will care. So it's like your job now doesn't, but is that your career your whole life? Probably not. Just saying. They def weren't boomers. What other offensive things you said? I said so many things. They might have been on the left or something. People get so triggered that I'm not on the left, and it's just like, you guys need to grow up. Like, half the country isn't. Like, I don't get that bothered if somebody votes liberal. I don't. It's like you can only be triggered for so long when half the country is that way. You get what I'm saying? It's like, grow up. People need to grow up. Like, I'm sorry that your liberal bubble isn't reality and that not everybody views things that way. Well, that's true. That's just facts. That's why I have to find a business run by someone 40 or under. Oh my God. I don't know, Mysterious. Like, I really don't know because I think that they would care too. And I certainly think another Gen Z would really care. So if you ever were working in a Gen Z company, they'd be like, oh, you have a face tattoo. I'm not hiring you. Because I'm telling you, it's how it is. 6. It's how it is. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Let me look at my numbers. Should I look at my numbers on this channel? There's like nobody here. I lost one today, you guys. I lost one. Everybody has to grieve for the subscriber I lost, okay? I need you all to grieve. We need like a ceremony. A moment of silence while I look up my audience on this channel. I don't even think, look, I literally, Oh my gosh. Only 10% of people on this channel are in the United States. That's crazy. Wow. What? It doesn't say where anyone else is from. That's crazy. Isn't that weird? Only 10%. In the last 28 days. Let me look at like lifetime. Let's see. Hold on. Or the last year, right? Okay, let's look at the last year. Okay. Last year, 32% is American. That sounds more accurate. Okay. Okay. And then it just lists United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada for this one, for this channel. It doesn't list anybody else. I'm trying to get my demographics. It doesn't say. Hold on, let me try for lifetime. Or I wish I could do like last 6 months. Okay, let's just do last year, I guess. Yeah, it doesn't really say. So it doesn't differentiate. It says most viewers are between 35 and 44, but that's not true. So I don't think. I think of doing a purple or pink hair dye, maybe with a bit of blonde. See, that's fine because that can change. I'm not going to say that it's going to look great, but it's fine. It's not permanent. You can be a cringe era. That's fine. And maybe it will look good. You never know. It could. I actually like Caleb's fake blonde. I actually think it looks decent. So I was surprised. Yeah, I don't really get any stats on this channel. I don't think I have enough. Okay, let me check my other one. I got new rules, I got them. Ding, 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 ding. I got new rules, I got it. Okay. So my top demographic is 25 to 34 on my main channel. It's 52%. And then 23% is 35 to 44. 16% is 18 to 24. So I do have some Z's on my channel. But it's mostly people around my age, which makes sense. But my main channel is heavily female. So 86% female viewership on my main. And then 13% male. 62% in the United States. So that's pretty on par. Okay, I'm happy with that. I got new rules, I got it. I wish that this would say like what the demographics were as far as like male and female. Maybe it will like on my actual computer. Let me look. I want to know. Bot has me curious now. This is a scoop, but it's a false scoop. Or scoop. Ew, I actually have TikTok on this laptop because I was looking at TikToks. Gosh, TikTok is so awful. I don't know how Gen Z is on there. Like, it's awful. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I went on TikTok because I look at fat acceptance TikTok. It is soul destroying, you guys. Like, it is just horrible. And I just am like, I don't know how anybody can watch that shit because it's so soul destroying. Okay, I'll be back. I can't see the chat right now because I'm trying to look at this because bot made me curious. In the computer, it's, like, more detailed. So I'm like, "Who the fuck are you guys on this channel? Who is on this channel?" Oh, man. It's not giving me enough. Okay, hold up. Maybe if I look at it over a lifetime? Okay. So this channel is, like, almost exactly, um it's almost exactly split male to female. There's majority male, though. So 52% male and 47% female on this channel. Okay, interesting. It doesn't say the ages because I don't think there's enough people. That's fine. I don't think it is bound yet. I think I put male on my account. That's funny. I'm not sharing my screen. You're a liar, and I knew I wasn't. Don't even play. I already know. I could do super pale pink or lilac, which I think would look nice. What are you talking about for your hair? Gosh, you guys are really trying to go for that Machine Gun Kelly vibe. Oh gosh. Oh, if I go lifetime, it actually shows the age range. That's weird. How gay. Okay, it's actually split. It's pretty split by age and gender. That's crazy. So it's the same as my main. My major demo is 25 to 34. Is this the right channel? Yeah, graphically gay. Okay. Gen Z 18 to 24 is 17%, 25 to 34 is 24, 35 to 44 is 21%. And then there's some even older than that watch this channel. Interesting. And some even younger, but that's only 3%, so that's a little scarring. This is not a channel for minors, so that's scarring. But whatever. I do have some boomers. It's probably like I would think it'd be like Sin or something, you know? I got new rules, I got it. Dun, 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 dun. I'm watching a lot of Survivor lately. Oh my gosh. I'm glad that you're enjoying that, Mysterious. Well, look up Machine Gun Kelly. Look him up. You got to get with the Gen Zs. You got to get with the times, bot. Like, catch up. Come on. Get it together. He's a millennial, anyways. You should know who he is. So, bot is being a disgrace to her generation right now. I'm so crazy. I don't know what to do with myself, you guys. I'm going nuts. I'm going insane. I'm going insane. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I'm gonna get canceled. I am. I can feel it. I can totally feel it. It'll happen, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't know. To me, it's like I just feel like somebody has to be brave enough to say things, you know? And I don't know. That's probably like a really lame thing to say, but I don't know. What do you guys think about my cancelability? How problematic do you view me on this channel? You guys, let me know. I want to know your opinion. I want to know your opinions. Because we lost somebody today. We did. And I don't feel like it's been addressed. Oh my god. I wanna know the Gen Z's opinions. I wanna know. I know Mysterious told me that if I ever was on TikTok, I would be, like, completely eviscerated. Never, Mysterious. That is so weird. I would never, ever say that. I don't think Easter is transphobic at all. I don't. I got new rules, I got it. I've been liking Dua Lipa lately, which is weird, but because I showed up to that party drastically way too late, like beyond. I don't even think so. The Easter Bunny is weird because everybody says he, but then they say that it lays eggs, but it doesn't. Like it's confusing. I don't know. That's like a whole other topic that I don't think I'm ready to deal with right now. Oh my god, you guys. I mean, if it's a he, I don't know. It's confusing, you know? It's very confusing. Oh my gosh, I need to show you that. You might not be able to see, but Bot Jr. is that leaf is coming out. It's gonna have two. The one that Caleb said I should give up on. The one that Caleb's like, I would have thrown that away. Nah, nah, nah. This is what happens when you waste potential. Look at this. Don't ever give up. You never give up. Bot Jr.'s story is all of our story. I have had this plant for almost 3 years. Think about that. I got this as a leaf in November of 2021, and it took all this time to get another, to get this far. But to me, it's like it's cute and it's alive. So why would I get rid of it? It's a cute little baby. Just saying. I don't even know if Caleb is still here, but I just had to say that. So I'll talk trash about Caleb even if he isn't here. I don't care. Oh my gosh, you guys. I swear. I'm kind of like the world isn't ready for me, but the world has to be ready for me because I'm coming. And to me, it's like I feel like I'm not like the worst person ever. I'm not the best person ever, but I'm not the worst. And I'm just like, I just want it to be fun again. Like I want YouTube to be fun. And it's not. It's really boring. So that's my thoughts. That might offend you. I'm just kidding. I do love that Michelle says that, but then she has like the most milk toast, like basic opinions. I miss Horsebot and Baby Horse John from Sims. I know I need to play Sims again, but I don't have time. So I need to switch my job over and then I can do that more because I miss that too. Oh, nice, Caleb. So Caleb is still here hearing me talk trash. Nice. Caleb ignored my DM. Caleb thinks he's too good for me now. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna see it. Oh, nice. Dang, those types of trees, they're really expensive. Like, oh gosh, I haven't seen John Doyle. The last time I watched John Doyle, I saw him like do this fight with like a feminist or whatever. Speaking about the word fertility of the bunny egg. Oh my god. So literally mysterious. The last thing I saw of John Doyle was he did this like debate with a woman, and it was like the gayest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I was like, he is so fucking gay. Like, that was like what I thought. And then I was just like, I don't have anything else to like. I just didn't have anything else to say because he doesn't do much. Like, he's really lazy. He doesn't post anything. So I just get bored, and then I forget about him. Like, I forgot he existed. Hashtag Taylor Swift lyric. But I did. I forgot he existed because he doesn't post very often. Candace Owens. Oh my goodness. So that's like an interesting dynamic. I don't know enough about it, but there's definitely hella tea with like the Crowder divorce. So I feel like the Crowder divorce situation, it's definitely taken most of my tea energy from Candace. But I think it's weird that she's fired. I really do. And I guess people were right about the Daily Wire. That's kind of my view on it now, is I was like, yeah, the Daily Wire is probably not it. It doesn't matter if you were asleep, Caleb. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't have that much tea. Like, I don't know enough about it because I was too like enthralled by the Crowder situation where his ex is Hitlery, Hitlery Crowder. I can't really deal with anything else, And I've just been interested in the Crowder divorce because like all the heteros are triggered. The heteros are quaking and shaking and projecting all over the Crowder divorce. And it's like, holy crap, that is crazy. But I totally get it. Like, I totally understand why people project because, like, I was watching Tim talk about it. I was watching Tim Pool, and oh my God, Tim Pool is like so terrified of getting married and his wife leaving him and trying to take all his money. He is terrified, like shaking in his boots over that shit, like just scared as shit. And I'm just like, Tim, Allison is not going to leave you. Like, you're nuts. Like, this is not like your situation at all. Like, it's not at all like that situation. And then Lauren Southern chimed in and she's like, well, Steven Crowder's ex-wife, she could be homeless and da-da-da. She's getting $25K a month. She is not going to be homeless. She's getting $25K a month for child support. And she's using it for legal fees to further sue Crowder. That is fucked up. And like Lauren Southern's only saying that because when she got a divorce, she was almost homeless. And she didn't get any child support because international laws and weird issues, and she had to quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, she tried to do all that and it didn't work out for her. But it's like, this is not at all similar to the Crowder divorce. So it's like, I don't mind if straight people project themselves onto it because they've been in a situation similar or they could have been. That makes sense to me. But it's the straights that their situation is totally not it at all and not comparable whatsoever, that I'm like, why are you projecting your shit into that? Like, it's cringe. Because to me, it's like, obviously they have a toxic divorce, but clearly Hitlery Crowder is on a whole other level because she's crazy. I mean, I don't even like Steven Crowder that much, but I don't know. I feel like I was wrong about him because she's to a whole other level. Like, that's how bad she is. And sometimes that happens. where somebody can be so awful that in comparison, it makes the other person look better. That's kind of what's happening in terms of their divorce. So I was more paying attention to that. So to me, that stole the thunder of Candace Owens. But yeah, I mean, I respect Candace. A lot of people don't like her. I don't dislike her. I don't. Like, I'm fine with her. I like that she has her own opinions and stuff, and she'll say what she has to say and all that. I don't agree with every single thing, but I'm not like totally, I don't know. I've never understood the hate, I guess. She's just very hardcore, which a lot of people don't like hardcore, but it's like, what? Because she's a millennial that doesn't act like she's sensitive, then she's evil. It's like, that's how millennials really are, you guys. Like, I'm here to break the tea. Like, millennials are not sensitive, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that as much. I don't watch her though, like I said. So I'm just talking about what I've seen from my end, if that makes sense. Like, I don't watch her a lot. Like, she's not really my cup of tea. But to be fair, I don't watch a lot of people, you know, and most of the time, I don't really watch conservative commentators as much because I feel like I know all the positions and there's no shame in them being there. Like, I think a lot of people are trying to figure out their opinions and whatever, and that's great. But I'm not in that position as much because I'm older. So it's like I don't learn that much from hearing conservatives because I've already kind of, you know, listened to that to death. Basically, I don't know how else to say that. And so I watch more of like the libertarian ish, you know, like my major people that I watch are Styx and Tim because they're different enough from me where I can still learn something, but they're similar enough that I can relate. And they're intelligent and stuff. And they're pretty unbiased. And they're, in my opinion, they're good journalists, which is what I look for. Um, but yeah, I don't really watch commentators or pundits anymore because I'm just not as into it anymore in general. So it's no hate on any particular person whatsoever. I'm exhausted with politics, to be honest. I really, really am. Like, it's not that I don't care about politics, like I do, but it's just, I can't like watch stuff about like people talking about political views all the time anymore. Like, I just can't. It's like, I'd rather just talk to my friends about my political views, or I'd rather just focus on the fat issue, you know? It's just really on that level. She panders a lot, and it's obvious she doesn't believe most of what she says. I don't know if I believe that. Like, I think she believes what she was saying about the war, I guess, because she got fired for it. So I can't say that that's not true. Or, like, I can't say that that's true based on that because she was willing to stick to a position to where she got fired. Um, I don't know if it's like a changing moment for her. Who knows, right? I don't really watch her that much. Um, I did kind of like her video on Taylor Swift. I know that's bad, but I'm like a weird Swiftie where I kind of like it when people hate on her sometimes. And I kind of liked her hatred of her. It was funny to me, and it was kind of on point a little bit, which I know that's terrible to say, but so that's the only thing I've watched recently, and I kind of liked it. I mean, it was vicious, but she kind of had a point. Like, she's just like, I hope that she gets married, otherwise she's going to be crazy. That's basically what she said, which is kind of true. Do you think politics is the new religion? No, I don't. I think politics is just politics. I think it becomes a huge topic in people's minds when the economy is shitty. And the economy's been shitty for a very long time. I think when Trump was president, they tried to make it a religion. And I think for some people it worked, but I think for most people it didn't. And I think most people don't view politics as a religion. But there is like a fanatical supporters on both sides. That's what I would say for both, like for politics as a religion. It's a very small minority of people. And in reality, most people don't view it that way. Because like typically, even like a total lefty, if their neighbors are conservative, they probably don't hate their neighbor. Like they probably don't. Or they probably still have somebody who's conservative in their life. Like unless that they're a complete cultist, which that can exist, but I just don't think that it's as common as people think. Does that make sense? It's not as common as people think. Like typically most people in America are like somewhat apolitical, or they have like a few views or a few pet issues that they care about. And it's not really like a major focus of their life still. For a lot of people in Gen Z, it is a huge focus. Totally get that. But I'm talking about like everybody else. Does that make sense? And politics is important in daily life, but it's because the economy is shit. That's why. And I think when Trump was in office, it became important because the left made it important, because they were just so freaked. And as a conservative, I felt like I had to defend Trump because I wanted him to fix the economy, and he was. And I felt like the future of the economy was at stake, which it clearly was, because Biden gets in, it's complete trash. It's always trash. When a Democrat's in office, it's trash. It was the same thing with Clinton. There was a recession in the mid-90s, trash. Same thing with Carter, recession, stagflation, trash. I mean, it's just trash. It's not to say that every Republican is great, but every Democrat is bad with the economy. It just is what it is. Politics is the religion of the atheist left. Somewhat. I mean, there are atheists that are just true blue atheists, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people try to be an atheist and they're not. So they like try to make a religion out of politics, if that makes sense. But it's not the same thing. Thoughts on Travis Kelce? I don't like him at all. I really don't like him. I think this is going to sound really hyperbolistic, but I just got to say it very short and plainly. But I think he's evil. I think he's like an evil narcissist. I don't like him at all. I think he's like one of the most corporate shell, horrific, sellout, just like he'll push the worst thing. He'll do anything to get that corporate dollar, like no personality, no identity, narcissist, psycho. That's how I view him. I don't like him at all. I have a very bad feeling about him. And it's just like an intuitive thing, but it's just what I've seen as well. And I feel like he uses people around him to be liked, which is very narcissistic. Like he uses his brother. He uses, I think I don't know if it's the quarterback. It's like his best friend on the team. And he uses Taylor. And to me, I'm like, that's a pattern. Like you're using people to try to improve your image. And it's just weird. So I do not like him. I don't. And I get a lot of hate because I don't like him, which is also weird. Like, why should I get hate for not liking him? You know, it's weird. So nowadays, though, a lot of people don't like him too. So, because after the Super Bowl, it was like a huge PR fail for him. So now a lot of people see what I see. So I don't really get hate anymore. But in the Swiftyverse, when he started dating her, I was like totally anti. And people were like, what? Why? Oh my gosh, you're really against it? What? And I'm like, yes, I am. Like, totally against it. I don't support them together. I don't like it. So I said what I said, period. Gosh, how many more things can I get canceled for in the stream, Jam? What's your what do you like? How would you describe your views, pizza? I'm curious. Or like, what's your position on things, I guess? Like, what's your political slash religious orientation? I'm curious. And then I'm guessing you're male. I could be wrong, but let me know that too. I'm curious if you can. If you're not like, I'm super anon and I can't tell anybody, because I'm just curious. It'd be funny if you weren't male. I'd be like, oops. um, I'm just curious. But yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, that's my thoughts on that stuff, anyways. I don't think that politics is religion because it's just not the same. Male libertarian. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I totally get it, Caleb. And um I think it's normal, like honestly. Like I don't think you should be tripping out about it as much at your age, you know? Not to be like too at your age, but it's like you gotta just have fun and stuff. Like it's just those are like really fun years. And I mean it's kind of fugly because of COVID anyway. So it's like, but just try to enjoy what's there now. You know what I mean? Try to enjoy yourself as much as you can. The left doesn't like me because I like property rights, and the right doesn't like me because I don't like guns. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, that is a major thing. But I don't know. Like, I don't think I'm hated by any particular side. Like, I just think that there's people that are probably on the fringes that would hate me on both sides. Like, I think like a radical leftist would hate me. And I think a radical I don't even know. Like maybe I don't even know if they would hate me, but like super, super like evangelical, right? Type of person would just be like, oh my gosh, you're a sinner. Like you're going to go to hell, that kind of thing, which is kind of weird. But it's not like, it's not something that I like, but it's just like weird. Um, and then like alt-right types don't like me at all either. But, it's not hard to not be liked by that type of person. I don't really like them either, so they can just shove it up their ass, I guess, because I don't really like them either. Because to me, I feel like a lot of them are just really grifty. And then libertarian types, I don't think that they hate me, but they do. Like, it's weird. It depends. Like, libertarian as a label, it doesn't mean that much because but I know enough about your position, Pizza, where I can kind of see what it means when you say it. But in terms of like if a random stranger is like, I'm a libertarian, I would know nothing about them. I'd be like, I have no idea what that means. So there's a lot of people that I call cringetarian, which they're just like the worst, like ugh, they're the least helpful people. And basically, they're the kind of people where they're like, you should never judge anybody for anything, even though they're always judging everyone else. And then they're always like, they love to support unaliving yourself. Like that person I argued with on Instagram was a cringetarian. It's somebody where it's like any rules and limits in life are bad. That's the kind of libertarian that I clash with. So, like, if I'm like, I don't think an open marriage is a marriage. A cringetarian will be really upset that I said that. They'd be like, what do you mean? That's not how my marriage is. And da-da. And it's like, I don't believe it's a marriage. I don't. It's like you're just dating. It's not the same. I don't view it as the same thing. And they would get all triggered about that. But at the same time, a very far right religious person would be like, well, I don't recognize a gay marriage as a marriage. But for me, it's like, I don't really care, like I feel like I'm more in the middle on those issues, which is what I said, which is why I think a lot of people are like probably going to be triggered by me because I'm not like really rigid and I'm not really loose, which is what irritates me about people these days. And so I think I'll get canceled because I'm not in either one of those categories. And it's like on the internet, people expect you to be either one way or the other. And I'm not. I'm not. I'm not rigid or loose. I'm in between. And I'm not going to change. I'm just not. The left will cancel you for being pro capitalism and conservative views on trans and gay issues. The far right just hates something, the gays, and isn't interested in the specifics. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's true. I don't even know. Like, there are a lot. It's weird because I have I went to an evangelical Christian school, like I told you guys. And so typically the far right, what I would consider far right, is somebody who's like, you can't have sex before marriage. You can't use birth control. You can't masturbate, and you have to be heterosexual. Like, to me, that is a far right person. Like, if I heard somebody say that, I'd be like, wow, like you're really far right. To me, that's a far right person. But a lot of times they don't hate somebody who's gay just because they're gay. They just see it as a sin. But they might see jerking off as a sin. They might see birth control as a sin. They might see, and I have my opinions on birth control, but it's more so hormonal birth control that I have a problem with. But again, see, I'm in between. I'm not totally loose. I'm not like, oh, birth control is amazing. And like, yeah, I love abortion. Like, I don't feel that way. I don't. I don't love abortion. And I have questions on birth control and like pauses on it. But I'm also not like a big, like, you know, I don't think masturbation is a sin. Like, I just don't, you know, I don't know about like you have to get married before you have sex. Like, I don't know if I believe that. I just think you have to have the intention of getting married, or you have to view it as serious or something, you have to be in love. Like, I just don't think it's good to like just be a whore. Like, I think that's a sin. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there's like gradients and stuff with things and intentions behind things in terms of religious discussion, but people don't think about it that way. So it's like, I always say in America, people treat science as a religion and religion as a science, and it doesn't make any sense. It's really stupid. Um, so much of the political discourse is based on forced fake priorities. In real life, nobody gives a shit about LGBT race, etc. That's also what I mean by far right. Yeah, no, I know that that's what you mean to a certain extent. I'm just saying, like, I think there's a difference between like alt right, who are those people are the ones that hate gays, and like far right, which should be like super moralistic type of people. Which is a different reasoning, you know. Whereas I feel like alt right is in between left and right. It's a very bizarre hodgepodge because they tend to push for collectivist policies and socialism and oh my god, Caleb. They tend to go for those kinds of things. But yeah, yeah. So that's like alt-right, which again, they're the types that are like, oh my gosh, and they go off about Israel, for example. They're like really big on that. Like, because they view things collectivistically. So it's like they judge all white people as the same, or all Jewish people as the same, or all gay people as the same. Like, it's kind of leftist. It's leftisty, but it's clearly not the left either. It's like a hodgepodge. So I do think that there are far right people, but they tend to be like, a far right person is the kind of person that has an issue if you drink a latte, or that's going to be like, wow, that's really gay that you're drinking a latte. That's like a far right person. I might say that too, but I would be joking. But maybe it's true if it's a soy one. No, I'm just kidding. But I would say, like, you know, that's like a far right person. A far right person is like the kind of person that will like give you shit because you want to lose weight or something. Like that used to be the case. I mean, now it's weird. Now the left is like anti-weight loss. Like it's bizarre. But I'm just saying, like, that's all I'm saying. I just think far right means something different than what the left says it is. Like, because the left doesn't understand the right. I didn't understand the left completely until like I started watching Carlin and stuff, and then she kind of explained the left to me better, and then I could understand it better. But I always had friends who were on the left, and it's never been like a true hatred for me ever. Literally ever. I've never had an issue with somebody being a liberal. SJW, I'm like, it's a little different, but it's not the same thing. But I don't view that as the same, because to me, there's a big difference between a liberal and like Hunter Avalon. It's like there's a huge difference between a conservative. Well, I don't even think John Doyle is a conservative, but I don't know. John Doyle is like all right, in my opinion, but I don't know. I don't even know what he is. He has said things that sound like a communist, so I say he's a communist. I've said that a lot, and people got on my case back in the day when I was political, because I was like, he is literally a communist, you guys. And like, I saw conservatives like celebrate a fucking communist because he was like so celebrated. And then I talked shit about him, and then he wasn't as celebrated after that. And I like to pretend that I had an impact. I like to pretend that I made a difference, But what it probably was is just that other people were seeing what I was seeing. Caleb. I don't want to watch myself. It's scarring. I was really hungry when I did that debate. I was like dying. I was so hungry, and he changed the time like 5 times. It was horrible. He changed it so many times, and like, so I couldn't actually prepare. You got me fucked up. Caleb has me fucked up today. Oh gosh, it's so awful. The scarring thing is I have it backed up on this channel. The team sports aspect of politics in the last 8 years has gotten way worse and will make people turn their brain off to stay on their team online. I think it's definitely true. Like, that's why I can't do politics as like a channel, because I have my own beliefs. And it's really hard the way that YouTube is structured and the way that the algorithm is structured. It's really difficult to have a political channel if you're not extremely tribalistic and if you don't subscribe to every single belief that your side has, which is why there isn't a lot of centrists that are popular, because YouTube, the way the algorithm is designed, it doesn't push those types of people. And because it doesn't push those kinds of people, then they're very like shocked. So like, if you were to have a conservative commentator, but they were pro-choice, that would really freak out a lot of people. And same thing, if you were to have a liberal commentator, but they were pro-life, it would be a huge issue. And the audience would freak out. Like, if it's very difficult to market it because of the way YouTube is, which is why in terms of like rhetoric and stuff, the fat activism side has been so much better, because one, it's not political, which I will always assert that weight loss is not political, because it isn't. And two, because I'm very much against fat activists. So it's just easier to be organized as anti-FA because I am very much there. There are basically no fat acceptance talking points that I agree with. So I'll always be on point. But I still have my own views, but it's easier and a little bit less contentious than politics because, like, I don't agree with every single conservative position. I don't agree. I could never be like, I'm a libertarian because I'm not. I am a conservative, but I don't agree with everything that conservatives believe. Like, so it's hard to like say I will still wear the label though, because there's nowhere else that I fit. I don't fit in any other group. So it wouldn't make sense. But that's why sometimes on my main channel, I'll say I'm a right leaning independent because I'm not like totally conservative either. Like, I don't know if it's a good word for me. I don't know. It's a weird thing to say, or it's hard to organize. That's why, like, for me, I couldn't do a political channel. I tried, but I just couldn't. Oh gosh, about in 10 years, probably. So I've heard you watched more Blair and Marcus, according to themselves. Only they are trans, but everyone they criticize is not. It's a really weak argument. Yeah, it's tough. I really struggle with that issue. I do because, as I said, like it's hard for me to like. I feel like I try to disprove to myself that transition is rooted in homophobia, but it just seems like it always goes back to that. And today, in today's day and age, I get the most homophobia from trans people than anybody else, which is bad. And then there's such a push, like there's been multiple times I've been pushed to transition or told that I should or told that it would be easy for me, which is not true at all, for one. But for two, like I don't want to. I don't have gender dysphoria. I don't give a fuck about being male. I'm just feminine as fuck. And according to Blair White, well, no man would ever find me attractive, or no gay man will ever find me attractive because I'm too feminine, which is homophobic. So it's like, I do think Blair is homophobic. I don't think that she means to be. I just think she was horrifically abused. She was beaten and called an FAG, and I think she internalized it. And it's like, I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to do about that. Like, that is real, legit trauma. And Blair will admit that transition is probably a trauma response. And so it's like, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know. But it's a similar story with Shape, too. And so it's like, I just don't know. Like, I keep seeing it, and I just find a lot of trans people are homophobic. Like, they'll say, like, you should sleep with somebody that has different genitals than what you prefer or whatever. And that's like very homophobic. It's extremely homophobic. And so it's like, I just feel like the whole thing is rooted in homophobia. Like, and I haven't been proved wrong. And I know that that would piss off a lot of people. But it's like, these are the same people on the left that will try to tell me that I don't know what it is to be gay, even though I'm gay. And then they care so much about your lived experience. Unless if it's actually my lived experience, then they don't care anymore because it doesn't go with their narrative. It's just very annoying. I don't know. Hi, Jocelyn. I don't know. I'm just on one today. It's really late. This is bad. I'm addicted. But I don't think I'm not really working tomorrow, but I don't know. I could work a little bit. It's like a weird thing because it's a holiday. It's a whole other thing, Jocelyn. Okay, but all those other leftists who claim to be trans also have trauma, but Blair will tell them they aren't trans, yet she is trans. Makes no sense. I mean, I don't know. I don't disagree with you in that regard. Like, I don't know what to say. I'd love to hear. I wish that you could ask her that and she could tell you an answer to that. Like, I can kind of understand where they're coming from because they say, like, somebody that has gender dysphoria won't act this way, but it's like, how do you know that? You know? It's like weird. Like, I can't say, well, somebody that has hypothyroidism isn't going to act this way. I don't know how somebody with hypo is going to act. That doesn't make any sense. So I agree with you that it doesn't make sense. You think? Yeah, I found a lot of it's interesting because, like, I feel like for a while, and I'm not saying you represent all Gen Z, but I feel like there was a moment where a lot of Gen Z really liked Blair, and then a lot of them, like, turned against Blair, like, around 2020. But I feel like I did too. So I think she was acting horrible at that time because I don't really remember what she was doing, but I feel like there was just something about her at that time that a lot of people left because I stopped watching and then I tried to watch again, but then I just couldn't because it was like I watched this video where she was talking about before she transitioned and it was just so homophobic. It was just so horrifically homophobic. And I was just like, wow, like this is so bad, you know? So I couldn't and it was homophobic in a way that I don't think straight people would see because it's kind of like I don't know, it was very hidden. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like the message from Blair that life and romance is a dead end as a feminine gay man, and many gay men are essentially animalistic, really is quite the it doesn't get better message. Yeah, well, and the other thing too is that it's homophobic. I have had men in love with me. It's been toxic or, difficult or not great or whatever, but it's like that's the same for hetero people too. It's the same toxic, difficult, whatever for a heterosexual person too. And I can't imagine that it's any less toxic or difficult for somebody who's trans. Like, what a fucking lie. It's probably drastically worse when you're trans. Like, let's keep it 100. It's probably much more toxic. So it's like, why would you tell that to young feminine gay men? That is horrible. That is a horrible thing to say. It's not even true. There are a lot of gay men that are attracted to femininity. It's just crazy. It's like, I just don't get it. I just don't see it. But I understand, like, it was a different time, like, when millennials were teenagers, like, it was that way, like, femininity was kinda hated in the gay community in America, have to clarify, because it wasn't like that in other places. But around 2015, it started to change again. Not everything that Gen Z shifted was bad, like, Gen Z didn't really hate feminine gay. So when they were coming of age, it kind of changed, and by the time we got to like 2020, a lot of Gen Z was more grown up. And I noticed that the dating sphere had shifted drastically in America, where it wasn't negative to be feminine anymore because of Gen Z. So it's like trends change and things change. And the other thing too, it was never that way in other countries. Like the two guys that I've been in love with are Australian. They were very attracted to me in my femininity. So that's not real, Blair. It's not real. Just because people didn't like you in bumfuck Modesto, California, or wherever the hell, Bakersfield, San Bernardino, I don't know, somewhere like that in California, in like a small town kind of thing, a backwards town in California, that doesn't mean that the whole world is like that. And that's crazy. That is legit crazy. But again, I don't blame Blair because Blair was literally beaten and told that it's wrong to be gay. And it's like, I struggle with it because it's like, I understand why that happens. And it's very tragic. And it's like, I don't know what to say about it, or I don't know what to think. Chico, okay. Whatever. You got what I was saying. You understood what I was saying. Look, I'm from California. In my opinion, I still have the Cali girl accent. A lot of people try to be like, oh, you sound like you're Southern now. And I'm like, I don't think so at all. I remember one time I was talking on the phone with Lisa, and she's like, well, you have like a twang. And I was like, no, I don't. And she's like, well, you're around people in Alabama all the time. And so you just absorb it. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, first of all, I'm introverted. I don't talk to anybody in public. Second of all, I talk to Eric on the phone like every day, and Eric is pure California. I live with my mother, who is California. Like, I'm always around people who are Californian, and I'm talking to Californians. So I'm like, I don't see it at all. But people try to say that. I'm like, no. To me, I'm a very obvious Cali girl, but whatever. Australians are hot. Yes, they are. They really are. But I've had my issues, but I've had my highs and my lows with them. I'll put it to you that way. Bay Area. Okay. So you're from NorCal? I'm from Southern California. LA County. That's all I'll say. But I'm hoping to go back this year because one of my friends is getting married and I really want to go back. One of my evil liberal friends is getting married. Oh, I'm just kidding. According to the narrative, right? I shouldn't be invited and I shouldn't be wanting to go, even though nobody cares. Also, living your best life is totally not a thing when your body is on the wrong hormones. I don't disagree with that. It's tough. I don't understand crippling gender dysphoria, so I'm not going to make a harsh judgment, but I understand wrong hormones in the body. Trust me on that. I know that all too well. I do. I feel like if I was doing an ASMR channel, the squash shot would be really good. I really should probably get going though, you guys, but I don't want to, but I really should. Okay. I think I'm going to have to go because it's getting really late. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm glad I was here. I'm glad I'm going to be canceled. I'm just kidding. I'm glad to have you guys. I had to do the scoot. I'm like, okay, it's literally 3 a.m. and I'm getting tired. So tonight was like a very 2022 style night. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys again later. Bye.